Hello, 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 everyone. Hope everybody is having an awesome Wednesday. Whew, I feel like we haven't done one of these in a while because we got a little off track in July. So I just want to make sure that we're live as always. And it's so funny. I just picked up my phone to do that and realized that I took Facebook off of my phone because I'm trying to be like healthier, have some boundaries. And that isn't helpful when I'm trying to check to make sure that we are good. So let me pull it up on my iPad over here. It looks like we are good though. I can at least, Facebook off of my phone. Sorry, it's going to do that thing where it's going to make noise because of course I had my volume on. Hopefully we're good. Awesome, but everything looks good here. So I'm going to keep an eye on the comments because I just want to make sure, hold on. Facebook keeps changing everything and it's so hard. Well, we're good. It's so hard to keep track of it all. All right, so let's do this. We have some awesome questions for our Q&A today. But actually, before I dive into that, I just want to remind folks, because there have been a lot of changes in the membership, and we are, I apologize, we're behind. We thought we'd be a little further along than we are when it comes to the changes in the membership. And one of the things we're working on is a brand new video for the Facebook group and for the membership portal, talking all about the features in the membership and where you find everything. So that, in fact, that's on my list for this week. So that is something that hopefully will get done ASAP so that you can watch that. It'll be very, very short. But in case you are here watching this, lots of big changes in the membership. We are actually rolling out a completely new portal, which we haven't given you access to yet. Everything's ready. But then just as we were like, okay, we're good. Let's test it one more time. One thing, like the navigation menu isn't linking to the right spot. It's silly. And we've talked to the tech company that runs the platform, and they said it's a glitch. They're trying to figure it out. It's nothing we can do on our end. So we're just waiting. We're waiting for their team to figure it out. And as soon as they do, we're going to get you all that login info. So new platform. So we're not going to be on Kajabi anymore for sort of existing members. You would have access to Kajabi. We're not going to be on that anymore. We haven't officially said when we're shutting down Kajabi. I think what we'll it kind of depends on when we get you onto the new platform, but assuming that happens in the next couple of days, so end of July 2021, we will probably shut down Kajabi by August 31st. So, but all of the content has moved over. So there's nothing on Kajabi you need. Everything will be on the new portal, but just in case, I know it's a transition. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the calendar. So we have this very cool tool, which you can access. Where did I lost y'all? There we go. Which you can access on the new portal. I know you don't have access to the new portal yet, but you can access on the new portal. And it's a calendar. You can sync it with your calendar. It's going to, as we update, it'll update for you. It's going to keep you updated on all of the events of going on in the membership every single month. So what I want to do though is I'm going to pull it up on my end here because I want to make sure I tell you correctly what we've got going on in August. July and August were a little funny because it's the summer, because there's just some weird stuff going on. My son's not at school every day, so everything's just a little funky. And actually even September gets a little funky too because of Labor Day. Labor Day kind of butts into September. So, but the normal schedule, hopefully, which fully kicks in October, is that the first and the last Wednesday of the, or actually, sorry, let me not explain that this way. Let me explain it this way. The first Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll have our workshop, our monthly workshop. That should stay that way, okay? The second Thursday of the month, we'll have our first Q&A of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to do 2 Q&As a month. This is the second one for July, but the first Thursday is the first one. The fourth Wednesday is the second Q&A of the month. We intentionally, I know it's a little confusing to remember that, but we intentionally did the Thursday and the Wednesday so that if folks always have something on a certain day, you can at least hopefully make one of the Q&As, okay? And then the third Thursday, we're gonna do our money meeting sessions. So our money meeting sessions are those opportunities for you to come and basically group work, right? Come and we'll do our money numbers together. And we're gonna play around with these times. If we find that people can't really go to these times, then we're not, we'll switch them around. So definitely let us know. We want your feedback. We're a small enough membership right now that truly your feedback is going to, I mean, your feedback always matters, but when it comes to scheduling, we can actually listen to folks right now because we don't have a huge amount of members yet. So if you want input on that, just let us know. So that said, this is our second Q&A of July. So going into August, because I said August is kind of a funky month. So Wednesday, the 4th, which is next Wednesday, we're going to have our monthly workshop. It's going to be all about auto expense in your business. I know that doesn't sound very sexy, but if you, I got a lot of questions about like, how do I deduct my car? How do I deduct mileage? What does it change if I'm an S Corp? The answer is yes, it does. So we're going to do a deep dive on that next month in August. So that's Wednesday the 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Then this is where the schedule is different than it'll normally be. Thursday, August 11th, we're going to do a Q&A. That's a Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesday, August 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do a money meeting session. There is not going to be a second Q&A in August. I am actually going to be out of the office for the last week and a half of August into the first half of the first week of September. So I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So we're not having that second Q&A in August. I don't think it's going to be an issue. If anybody feels really stressed about that, reach out to, the team, support@megkwheeler.com. But based on attendance so far, the Q&A is the fact that it's summer. I don't think anybody's going to mind that, but just want to put that out there. Only one Q&A in August. So, okay, that's my housekeeping admin work. Let's go ahead and dive into the questions. We've got some great questions for today. And as a reminder, as always, where'd we go? As always, if you have a question, you can submit it in the membership by going to megkwheeler.com/QA. It does not have to be specific to the workshop topic of the month or the topic of the month that we're talking about. It can be about anything business, money related. So you just remember, submit that by going to megkwheeler.com/QA. I will answer it at the next Q&A session that's coming up. Again, we're moving to have 2 in the membership every single month. And I will always go back. We'll tag you in the Facebook post. If you're in the Facebook group, we'll tag you in the Facebook post so you can watch it there. You can also always watch it on the member portal. And the cool thing about the new member portal is it's going to be super searchable. So you can basically, if you have a question about auto expense tax deduction, you can type that into the new member portal and it's going to find all the videos we've done where we've talked about that. So it's going to be a lot more searchable, a lot more easier to get the information you need. But all right, enough of that. Let me pull up our questions for today. Okay, so our first question, I'm really struggling to manage cash flow. Any tips? This is a fabulous question. So I do have some tips. And my very first tip or really question is, are you using any kind of a tracker for your cash flow? So managing cash flow is one of the biggest challenges, I think, in smaller businesses, probably in bigger businesses too, but certainly in smaller businesses. And believe it or not, actually, running out of cash is actually the number one reason why businesses fail, overwhelmingly. And that's probably not that surprising, right? But that ends up becoming the issue. You can actually have businesses that are selling and they're doing well by all accounts, but they actually fold because they run out of cash. They don't have enough cash to buy more inventory, or, they run out of time, basically. So managing cash flow is really important. There are some resources. So the first thing is, are you tracking it? And if you're not tracking your cash flow, I highly recommend you do so. We have a tool in the membership called the Cash Flow Tracker. If right now on the current membership portal, it's under, let me look to see where it is. While I talk, let me look. In the new membership portal, so depending on when you're watching this video, if you're on the new membership portal, which is on Searchy, if you're on the new membership portal and you go to, oh boy, there is a tab. Oh, I'm not finding it. In the navigation menu, there is I think we've called it resources. This is on the new membership portal. Go to resources. It's a page and there are buttons for each resource. And one of them is cash flow tracker. If you're on the old Kajabi, the old membership portal, which is Kajabi, let me just tell you where this one is right now. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I would like to view it, preview. Okay. So if you're on the old membership site, resources. So it's also resources. It's on the left navigation. No, I totally lied about that. Don't go to resources. I'm sorry. If you're on the old site, you're going to go to step number 2, build your plan under core training. And it's in there, cash flow tracker, daily version, cash flow tracker, monthly version. I highly recommend you use the daily version. The daily version doesn't mean that you have to do something every day. It just means that you're tracking it day by day by day versus tracking just overall cash for the month. So that's my first tip, is make sure you're using some kind of a system or tracker, because if you're not, then you're definitely going to have trouble with cash flow. I just did a cash flow, let's see, what month was this? Oh, this is the frustrating part, is I'm going to forget what month it was. Lordy Lord, we just did a cash flow. No, you know what? I didn't do it in this group. I did it for somebody else's group. But now that I'm realizing it, I want to make sure that we get it for you all. And I don't know that we have it in a format that is, I'm looking back through our months to see, did we do this as a topic in any of the past months? I'm trying to remember, so just bear with me 1 second. Yes, we did. I thought we did. Okay, cool. So September 2020 is when we did this as a workshop topic, cash flow, how to master your biz cash flow in 5 easy steps. I'm opening it up right now. It was a really great workshop we did there. So I would recommend watching that. And I'll link afterwards. If you're watching on the Facebook group, I will link to it there. But if you're in the old membership, go to September 2020. It's going to be in there. If you're in the new membership, I would just search cash flow. The new membership, once we get it up and running, is great. You're going to search cash flow. You're going to find it. So my tips generally, though, is number 1, you got to track it. You have to be tracking your cash flow. If you're not tracking it, then you're definitely going to struggle to manage it. And number 2, kind of along the lines of tracking it, but is actually to track it for 3 months out. A lot of people will just look at the next few weeks, or they'll pull up their bank account, like what's in there, and make decisions that way. I believe you've got to look at 3 months. So I always do a rolling 3 months when I'm doing my cash flow tracker. And that buys me enough time to adjust for things that are going to be issues, right? So if I look ahead and I say, ooh, I'm going to run out of cash on this date, well, then I can prepare for that. I can try to bring in another client. I can try to do another sale, whatever it may be. So that would be my tip. Those would be my tips, is track it, make sure you're tracking it 3 months out. And then within that workshop, I recommend a bunch of ways that you can bring more cash in, or you can help to smooth out your cash. I don't want to repeat them all here on the Q&A. I'm going to send you to that workshop just because I think it's really, really helpful to answer this question. But yeah, definitely check that out, and then let me know if you have any other questions. I was just going to see if I could find it. But you know what? I'll drop the link in after this. Okay, next question. In starting my business, I've racked up some credit card debt. What is the best way to pay this down? Yeah, and that, let's be honest, that happens for a lot of folks, right? Racking up credit card debt is not unusual. When you're starting a new business. It doesn't mean I recommend it necessarily. Obviously, if we can avoid it, that's the better approach, but that's not realistic for a lot of folks. So totally fine and normal to have credit card debt. I think the first thing to do is to actually just put a plan into place of what it would look like to pay that down. So if you have a card that has 0% interest, for example, what is the remaining period for that promotion? Let's just say it's 12 months to make my math easy. Then figure out what you would need to pay every single month for 12 months to have that paid off. Now, you may not be able to pay that much, but start there, figure out what that number is. If you are incurring interest, then it's a little bit harder, right? Because you're not going to be able to just divide the balance by 12 and get the number. You're going to have to figure out, well, you know, how long it's going to take me a little bit longer, right? Because that interest is going to add up too. There are some great tools. Bankrate.com, I know, has a great tool that you can use to like plug in, you know, here's how much debt, here's the interest rate, how long will it take me to pay it off? But I would do that. And I would say, okay, if I can afford to pay X a month, how long is it going to take to pay that off? Or on the flip side, if I want to have it paid off in, let's just say 12 months, 2 years, whatever it is, what would I need to pay to have that paid off? So figure out that plan first. Get that number. And I always like to start from a place of what would it take versus what can I do? Because usually when we sit down and say, here's what I can pay every month, we're almost always going to lowball it. We're going to do a number that feels like comfortable and easy. We're not going to necessarily push ourselves much on that. So instead of coming at it from that approach, I like to come at it the other way and say, I want to have it paid off in 2 years. What do I have to pay to make that happen? Now, let's just say that number is $500 a month. I'm making up numbers now. And you go back to your budget, because hopefully you have a budget for your business. If you don't, we've got resources in the membership to help you with that. You go back to your budget and you're like, there's no way I can make $500 a month work. It's just not feasible. Then what I would do is I would do two things. The first thing I would do is actually put the $500 in your budget and say, what would I have to do to pay $500? Would I have to bring on one more client? Would I have to sell one more course? Would I, X, Y, Z? What would that look like? And make that your goal that you work towards, right? But then what I would also do is say, okay, let's have a conservative plan. So our sort of aggressive ideal plan is $500. I'm again making up numbers, $500 a month for 2 years. Well, what's our more conservative plan? So maybe we feel comfortable committing to $300 a month. That's the conservative plan. So if we pay $300 a month, what would that take to pay off that debt? And then what I would do, and this is where I wish I had my whiteboard set up, and I don't have it yet, but I got my iPad, so I'm going to work on getting it set up. Then what I would do is if I had a month where I couldn't pay the $500, but I could pay the $300, first and foremost, I would try to pay as much as I could up to that $500. So as much as I could, more than $300 if possible. If not, then I pay the $300, and that's just what I do. And then I would keep like a running record, basically, of what extra do I need to pay to still hit that same deadline of 2 years? So obviously, if I need to pay $500 a month to have it for 2 years, to have it paid off in 2 years, and I can only pay $300 a month, let's just say the first few months, then obviously I'm not going to have it paid off in 2 years if I just continue on, right? So I would be looking and saying, okay, what more do I need to pay off to still stick to that original 2-year deadline? And then when I have a cash infusion, let's say I do a launch and money comes in, or I get a big client, or I get a bonus I wasn't expecting, or whatever, then I would see, can I allocate some of that money to that debt so that I can get back on track? But that's my recommendation to you. The most important thing is to have a plan. Where I've seen business owners struggle with this is where they don't have a plan, and they say, I've got this debt and I'm just going to throw some money at it every once in a while, and then it never goes away. The other thing too is do, and I should have actually started with this, is do everything you can first to, sorry, I just realized I got crumbs on my keyboard. Do everything you can first. Let's see if it's doing anything. Okay. It's bugging me. To stop adding on to the debt. So get your budget in place and get your spending to a point where you're not adding on. And I talk to a lot of business owners, especially early in their business, who say, well, I have to do this course. I have to do this program. I need this coach. Otherwise, how am I going to build my business? And I know what that feels like. And I've been there, and I've absolutely put some of that stuff on credit before and racked up debt for it. But I would really encourage you, instead of coming from a place of fear and panic, like if I don't pay for this thing, then my business is never going to grow, to instead not spending that money and not adding more debt onto the pile, but instead talking to people and asking them where their pain points are and understanding their struggles and spending some time working on that, because that is really how you grow your business, is figuring out what people need and how you can help them. So I know, and I say this as someone who has been there and who has done this. When you're early in your business, instead of putting that stuff on a credit card, instead of spending all this money for someone to teach you how to run your business, just talk to people. Start there. I'm not saying that you don't need anybody. You definitely need people you need someone to help you with the tax and money stuff. You need someone to help you with the legal stuff. You might want a business coach or somebody who's going to kind of help you with that stuff. You might want some marketing help. But just, especially if you already have debt, avoid that urge to just pay somebody to teach you how to do something, because you still have to go out there and do it. And none of that stuff they teach you is going to work if you don't have a solution that is solving a problem that people, I've said this before, it's got to be a problem that, what was it? I'm forgetting, that actually exists, that people, know that they have, that people want to solve, and that they're willing to pay someone to solve, right? You've got to have all 4 of those components for you to be able to help them with that problem. So that would just be my piece of advice, but hopefully that helps. I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but that's where I see business debt especially come up, is where people are like, I wanted to join this program or this online course or this was launching, and they'll put it on a credit card and they can't afford to pay. And that's the other thing too, when you do stuff like that, make sure you have a plan in place. Like, I just bought myself an iPad. I could have paid for it outright. I had enough cash in my business account. That wouldn't have been an issue. But I also had a card that had 0% for 12 months. And I was like, well, I'd rather do that. I'd rather have to keep the cash as long as I can. So I put that on my credit card. But I didn't just put it on my credit card. I then went to my budget and I built into my budget exactly what I would need to pay every single month so that it is paid off after the 12 months. So if you're going to put something on a credit card, if you're going to keep incurring debt, make sure you're putting a plan in place to pay that off. All right, last question for our Q&A session. So this question says, my biggest challenge is finding the time to do the money stuff and holding myself accountable. Help. Whew. Well, the first thing I would say is you have to prioritize it. You have to make it a priority. So build it into your schedule. Again, I recommend twice monthly money meetings. What I actually do in my business is, and I'm experimenting with the day and the time, so don't hold me to the day and the time because the summer threw me off a little bit. But basically every Thursday morning from 9 to 10, I block off that hour and I call it CEO time, okay? And now in a given month, there are going to be 4 Thursdays, right? 4 of those CEO time blocks. 2 of those become my money meetings. That's when I sit down and I do all of my money meeting stuff. The other 2, the alternating 2, are time I use for what I call special projects. So for example, one of the things that we're really working to build out in the business are our anti-racism policies and anti-racism initiatives. That falls under like a special project for me. And it's not to say that that's the only time I work on it. It's not. But those alternating Thursday mornings are when I dive into that and I check on the work my team has done and I do my own work for it and I kind of move us along. So you can use those alternating Thursdays for whatever you want. You can also use them to look at your money. If you're newer to this work, you may want to look at your money every week so you get more and more comfortable with it. But I really like that idea, and I intentionally do it every single week on my calendar, even though only 2 of them get used for money. Because if it was a meeting or if it was a block that was only on my calendar every other week, I wouldn't get in that habit of, oh, it's Thursday morning, it's CEO time. What am I focusing on today? So that I would recommend that. The other thing I would recommend is coming to our money meeting sessions. So again, starting in August will be our first one. It's, what date did I say? It's Wednesday, August 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern. They're normally going to be Thursday. It's Wednesday just in August. It's an hour. Come to it. The first like 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to be doing like a really quick kind of overview of what you should be focusing on, answering any like preliminary questions, giving you a little bit of guidance. And then the last 45 minutes are really for you to dive into your numbers. I will be there the whole time to ask questions. Your fellow members will be there to support you. Hopefully people show up to these. But that's a great time to do it. We're only doing this once a month for right now. I will tell you, if people start coming to them and using them, we will do more of them. And in fact, the goal kind of long-term would actually be to have many money sessions throughout the month so that if you can't make that time, you can make another time and basically have at least 1 or 2 a week, so that there are, plenty of options for you. But in order to get there, we need people to show up to the ones that we're doing now. So that would be my recommendation to you, is just build it into your schedule, make it a part of the process. The other thing I would say is give yourself an incentive. So every time you sit down and do a money meeting or look at your numbers, maybe you then get to buy a new book. That would be something that would motivate me. Or, buy yourself flowers or whatever would motivate you. It doesn't have to be something you buy either. It could be take a 30-minute walk, whatever will motivate you. But you've got to make it a concrete part of your schedule. Otherwise, you're just never going to do it. So, all right, my friends, that is all I have for questions. Just a reminder, if you've got questions for us to answer here on our Q&As, you can submit them by going to megkwheeler.com/Q&A. And then our next gathering, the next time we're going to all be together, is next Wednesday, August 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Same place, same time, actually, also as well. And we will be doing our monthly workshop in August, which is all about how to deduct vehicle and auto expenses in your business. So I hope everybody's having a fabulous summer. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you all next week.